want it, I get
Welcome
it.
to Unbothered. I'm Jessica. This is my co-host,
Yeah.
Jillian, and this is our guest, Jim Ember. She's an astrologist, and we're going to be talking a lot about astrology today.
Hi. Thank you guys for having me.
Our first unbothered guest.
Yay! So we have decided we're going to be doing one guest a month. That's the goal. It could change, but each month we want to highlight one of our favorite voices and ask them some questions. And today it's going to be all about astrology. So, Jim, would you like to tell us a little bit about your professional background and some of the projects that you're working on?
Yeah, so I am a professional by trade in photography, which taught me a lot about how to look at the world and see it through many different lenses and look at, and literally, it's the study of light, but it's also the study of stories. And so my work is very much in giving story back to the people and helping people who have lost the plot find it again, whether that be through astrology, storytelling, narrative strategy, photography. However, it shows up, that's my work in the world. But what I'm most passionate about is my somatic work. And I bring a somatic, which is the work of the body, into astrology. And I treat it through an animist, ecocentric lens. So thinking about astrology as a way to connect back to the land, to connect back to nature, to understand that you are in a relationship with the bigger picture. Astrology used to be very much intertwined with astronomy. It was myth, it was meaning making, but it was also true navigation of time, of place, of location. And there are very few people who can look out at the sky these days, look up at the moon, and know what stage the moon is in and how that's affecting the environment they're in and how that's affecting their navigation. And what I love about astrology is that it brings you back to an internal compass that can guide you in a world that is so chaotic and can hurt so badly and can feel so miserable because we don't have the connections with each other we used to have. We don't have the coming of age ceremonies we used to have. We don't have the sense of community we used to have. But astrology is one tool that can really give you an anchoring into your own position in the world and how to make sense of what is happening out there.
That is beautiful. Is there anything going on astrologically over the last 3 weeks or so that could be responsible for destroying my sleep? Full moons have a history of destroying my sleep. Like, usually when there's a full moon, like what we had a couple weeks ago, like, I will lose sleep for, like, 5 days.
Mhm.
But this time, it's been going on 3 weeks, and I was like, "Is there something else going on?"
So Chiron, which is a tiny planet about a little bit bigger than Pluto that sits between Saturn and Uranus, is ruled by Virgo, in my opinion. And you are a Virgo moon. And our lunar cycles are very much related to our hormonal cycles. And Chiron has been sitting in a retrograde for over a year. And when a planet is in retrograde, it means that from our position on Earth, it looks like it's moving backwards because as all the planets move at different speeds, they're on their own years. So from our position, it looks like it's moving backwards because it's literally on a different timeline. It's moving slower. It's going at its own pace. It's still in its year when we've ellipsed its year, our own year. Does that make sense? Is that too mathematical?
No, that's good.
Yeah.
And so when it moved out of retrograde and started moving in sync with us, it brought back all of the wounds that were kind of just like happening in the background into really loud, rageful, like, here you go. Remember, this is what you've been dealing with. But it also, and so it was in Aries, and it's in Aries right now. It'll move out of Aries this year, but when Chiron makes that shift of coming back into our timeline instead of doing its own thing, in how it relates to your chart in particular, it's creating what's called a quincux, which is 150 degrees of a difference between your moon and its position. So it's almost an opposition. It's almost full tension. It's almost complete like polar opposites, but it's just off center. And so it can create disruptions in your sense of safety and security, your hormonal balance, that kind of thing. is all related to your lunar position of Virgo.
Something that I like to do, like with the moon cycles, is when there's a new moon, I like to launch a new product or start something new. And then when there's a full moon, I like to be sure that project is wrapped up. Do you do anything like that with like moon phases or with anything else going on in astrology?
Sync projects with moon phases in that way, but I'm very attuned to the moon cycle because my own personal cycle is aligned with the moon in a very tangible way. So, I follow that traction of I know I'm going to have a lot of energy midweek between the full moon and the new moon, and that I'm going to have lower energy at these points. So I'm more aware of how it's going to affect my ability to show up, but not so much like I'm going to do a project here, I'm going to have it wrapped up in 2 weeks. It's not so much that sort of cycle for me.
What's your sun sign? I don't think I ever asked you.
I am a Taurus.
Taurus. That makes sense.
One of my favorites. I love Tauruses. My grandma Georgia, who's like one of my fiercest, most ferocious allies, like she's like, come to me for everything. She's like, anything you want, girl, you ask me. She's a Taurus. And I work really well with Tauruses. A lot of my work wives have been Tauruses.
And Taurus is the opposite of Scorpio.
Yeah, I see. I see like our vibes are like we're not hitting, we're like flowing at different wavelengths, but like in tandem. I feel
Yes.
like that's very cool.
Yeah. But you and I are both 12th house suns. So we have a similar solar expression. Like we're from the same country, but living in different houses.
I love that. I love the way you refer to things
I do
as
too.
houses, right? I love it. It's so cool.
I also really like Tauruses because I'm like all mostly like water and air. I'm very floaty. I struggle getting grounded. Like I have to make a huge effort to do that. And I can like spot a Taurus in a room. I'm like, ooh, I just want to go stand next to you. You feel like an ancient tree.
Yeah. Calming energy.
Yeah, we do kind of have that effect. Tauruses are also one of the moon's favorite positions to be in is with Taurus. So Cancer is its natal position where it's like this is my home, but in Taurus it's like exalted. It's like I'm not queen of the lunar space. I'm queen of the night.
I love
So
that.
we bring this intent. We just have this like sense of safety and security that we just like
Mhm.
produce
Yeah. I feel
all
that.
in good time.
Well, who do Tauruses feel like safe and grounded around?
Taurus is the constellations, the second constellation in the zodiac belt, zodiac story. And it's related a lot to goddesses of fertility, goddesses of motherhood, goddesses of abundance, but also that spring planting or autumnal abundance of like gathering and producing and creating. And so when you're in this midst of creating all the time, there's a lot of uncertainty in that. And there's this sense of like, you always have to be in this creative state, like creating safety, caretaking for others. Like without that, you can have this sort of anxiety. And so for Tauruses, what really helps them relax is really intense experiences that pull them out of the waiting of when is the plant going to fruit? When is the blossom going to bloom? And for them, it can be like Scorpio, like your opposite is always going to bring you a sense of safety and peace that no other sign can bring you. But what's also true for Taurus is, in my experience, Tauruses tend to feel safe with fire signs as well, most especially like Sagittariuses and Aries and Leos. Those are all the fire signs. But each one of them brings back that vitality because you can be sucked dry as a Taurus very easily if you're over giving and overdoing and
Mhm.
overabundancing for others. And fire comes before earth because fire creates the earth. And so earth doesn't need to be grounded, it needs to be resustained. While water can do that, you can't take in water if you have no nutrients. And where do you get nutrients? You get nutrients from something that has already died and already been given to you. And fire is something that tends to bring that mineral depth back. Even composting that brings the nutrients back into like the soil is a process of heating and fermenting. And so it's heat that Earth needs to feel safe.
What's the opposite of Cancer?
Capricorn.
I think about the Capricorns in my life, like we worked together. Like I was a welder for a year and I was in welding school and my welding bestie, like he was a Capricorn. He was also my bicycle mechanic, my nose piercer. He always worked for me. Like if I had a chore I needed done around my house, I would hit up my Capricorn friend and he would just like do stuff for me around my apartment. Like he was always working for me, like in service to me. And then I had a spiritual coach who we ended up being friends and she was a Capricorn and she was just always like working for me. And like, I don't know, I guess it's a limited relationship with Capricorns, but they're like worker bees.
My sister's a Capricorn. I don't see you guys getting along, but maybe. Who
Well,
knows?
maybe
You
not.
don't
I mean, based
necessarily
on
get
what you
along with
said.
an opposite, but they do bring you something that you need.
Gotcha. Okay, okay. Wait, okay, so let's talk about what sign would be my bestie.
Like, who would be your best friend?
Yeah.
Okay,
Like, who would I
so
get along the best with?
okay, so when it comes to looking at what relationships you're going to do well with, it has nothing to do with your sun sign. It has everything to do with your descendant, which is the
Interest?
opposite horizon point of your rising sign, right? So in astrology, when we're looking at a birth chart, we're looking at a compass on the Earth's plane. So, right, Earth is a 3D globe, but we pin it down onto north, south, east, west. That's how we get around the globe, right? And so in your personal chart, the rising sign is your eastern point, which represents you. And then your western point, your descendant, represents everybody else. Like all of your significant relationships and how you vibe with other people, you're going to want to look at what's happening in the western side of your chart. And in your chart, your rising is in Sagittarius, your descendant is in Gemini. And so who you tend to get along with are creative, flirty, funny, humorous types of people who
Like,
have
yeah.
that Gemini energy, who bring that mercurial, creative, I'm willing to go deep, I'm willing to talk about things, but I want to keep it light too. I want to be a social butterfly. I want to play. I want to have fun. I want to laugh with you. Those are the types of people that you are innately attracted to, and they can come into your life as marriages, friends, enemies, partners, limited relationships. The other thing you can look at for friendships is what's going on in your 11th house. The 11th house is what rules friendships, and for you having Saturn there, that makes friendships feel harder than they do for others. There's like, you want to have this lightheartedness, but then there's also this sense of like, but I need a bit like a sense of like, I need to have commitment and seriousness in my relationships. And I need to have a bestie who's loyal, committed, serious about their work, serious about their life, and serious about me. I need to be
I
able
think
to
that's
really
why
feel
we
that.
get along so well.
I sound so intense.
You
You
sound like
are
me.
intense.
I think you sound so much like me. Like I was like, is she reading for her or me? Like,
I
yeah.
know. Wait, didn't you say there was something when you read me and then you read Jess? Didn't you say there was some like opening in my chart where Jess's chart fit?
Jessica's chart
You have such a good memory. She remembers all this stuff.
is in Cancer, right, Jessica? I got that math right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a Capricorn rising. Jillian has a Sagittarius rising, which means that your charts are inherently in a quincux relationship.
Wait, I'm a Cancer rising.
Yes, you're a Cancer rising. Jillian is a Sagittarius rising. So in your relationship, in your charts are almost 180 degrees flipped on each other. Almost.
That's
Cool.
wild, right?
So if your rising was in Capricorn, you would have perfect 180 degrees flip, but you don't. You have 150 degrees of a flip. So it creates this opportunity where almost if I flip your charts around on each other and I looked at them, there would be all these moments where everything falls into place with each other. So, what I mean by that is your descendant, Jessica, is a Capricorn. Jillian's second house is in Capricorn with a Mars Capricorn there. So, if we were to put your charts together, Jillian's Mars lands on your descendant, which equals whenever somebody's like personal planets land on somebody else's descendant, it creates a sense of knowing a deep relationship. of like
It
their
feels
energy
harmonious there. I feel like my relationship with Jillian, it feels very harmonious. Like, it feels like water recognizes water, and it's like, "Hey, we're both part of the same ocean."
Yeah.
Yes. So when I see like 180 degrees of difference, those people over time tend to just butt heads too much. They're just too different. They just see the world from completely polar opposite places. But when it's a quincux, it's like you're seeing things from completely different points of view, but you can still converge on points of value of things that matter to each other. And it makes your relationship complex and interesting and unique, but it doesn't create that same sort of like power struggle feeling.
I love playing with power. It's one of my favorite things, but I don't struggle with power. I like to see who has what kind of power and how that can mesh well with mine to create a sense of harmony. Like, I'm also a life path 33, and some people call that a 6, some people call it 33, but with a 6 being like part of how I identify, that's all about balance and harmony. So when I say that I play with power, I'm always looking to create balance and harmony. And I speak openly about the hexes that I do, and all the hexes I do are to create balance and harmony. And the only reason why people are afraid of them is because they're the ones creating the imbalance. So when I do a hex or spell work to balance out the harmony, whoever was trying to pull someone down, now they got to learn their lesson. I get mistaken for a fire sign a lot. Does that ever happen to you, Jillian?
No.
Okay.
Everyone's like, "Oh, you're a Scorpio." I feel like a lot of people might think Scorpio is fire because it's so, like, tense
Fiery. Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah. Everyone calls me like, "We know you're a Scorpio." I don't know what I do that tells them that, but everyone automatically knows when they meet me. They're like, "You're a Scorpio." I'm
I
like,
think
"Yeah."
it's interesting when people fear Scorpios because I'm like, y'all are just deep water. I'm deep
Yeah.
water. Like, I am the ocean. Like, even before I started doing like the work that I do, I was always saying, I was like, I am the ocean. And so when I meet a Scorpio, I'm just like, you want to go swimming?
Yeah.
Hi.
You know what sign I fear? Leo.
Leo. I date a lot of Leos.
I feel like they're all crazy.
I've dated, but like I dated Leo men and women, and they were just so fun. Like,
Yeah.
dates with them were a good time.
It's really interesting the effect of solar astrology has had on culture. So, like, what you're all speaking to is somebody being a Leo, like their sun is in Leo. They were born within like the 30-day period. You were born within that 30-day period of Scorpio. You were born in that 30-day period of Cancer. I was born in that 30-day period of Taurus. But our solar energy is really something, it's more of like an essence that we radiate. Whereas the whole chart gives us a sense of who somebody is in a really deep way. So, one of the reasons that Jillian, you might have like people just have this sense like, oh, you're Scorpios. Your sun isn't the only planet you have in Scorpio. You have a lot of planets in Scorpio. And so the way you communicate, the way that you vibe, the way that you move in the world, not just like that energetic liftoff that you give is Scorpio. Jessica also has a lot of Scorpio in her. I've got a lot of Scorpio in me too. It really just like depends on how you meet and greet somebody that you can feel what they're able to give you, if that makes sense. And our solar systems are not the end of it all, which is why like y'all work so well together because you have so many interdimensional relationships that create like a kaleidoscope of color and engagement between you two.
That's crazy.
I You said something that I liked, that I wanna get everyone's, thoughts on, like, the way that we meet and greet people. I'm very warm to, like, women, people in the LGBTQIA+ community, but if it's a straight man approaching me, I am Queen of Swords. I am cold, and I'm just like, what can you do for me?" But when it comes to women and people that, are not cisgendered men, I'm just like, "Hi."
I'm open to everybody, no matter who they are, until they show me that I shouldn't be. I'm a hugger. I like to hug everybody. Are you a hugger? Are you guys huggers?
I almost accidentally hugged a police officer recently. Like, I was, like, going to, like, hug them, and then I was like, "Nope, put your hand in the middle, don't go to pat their back." It's like,
That's
oops.
so funny. Yeah, I love hugging. It feels like grounding to me, like touching somebody else. I don't know if that has anything to do with my sign, but a lot of the times if I'm feeling like overwhelmed or having anxiety, I'll be like to my husband, I need a bear hug, and he'll like hug me super tight, and then I feel better.
Do you do 20-second hugs?
I don't know. I don't time it. I just like he hugs me until I feel better, and then deep breath, feel
When
better.
I waited tables for forever. We did 20-second hugs. The idea is like whoever is the calmest, you do a 20-second hug with that person, and then your heartbeat will sync up to theirs. And
Oh
so
no
it
way!
has a calming effect. So whenever we would be real stressed out, I'd be like, somebody come here, I need a 20-second hug.
I love that. That's very cool.
To me, hugs are very intimate. So I wouldn't describe myself as a hugger. I'm only gonna hug people that I am very close to.
I'm the opposite.
Yeah, I
I
hug a
hug
lot of
everybody.
people.
It's
I'm a
funny.
bit flirtatious. I have a lot of Gemini in me.
I love Geminis. Because I am a dominant, my flirting is it's very Queen of Swords, and
Oh,
it's not warm. I'm constantly making men prove themselves to me because what I learned through being a dominant player is they want to be good boys. They want to impress us. And when men find that they cannot impress women, that's when they get a bad attitude. But when I'm constantly challenging them to like one up themselves, I'm like, what can you do? What can you do? They jump through those hoops. And so for me, that is very Queen of Swords. And I'm not going to reward them with a hug unless they've earned it. Just fun for me.
Yeah, I see.
it
I
looks
see
like
you.
it's very fun for you. I think that if
I
I
love it.
tried to do that, I would just be like, I would just feel very uncomfortable. Like I
Ooh,
don't
I
know.
love playing with power. And when I stand in my power, it works out in my favor, and my ancestors love it. And when men are trying to impress me as they should, my ancestors are just like, go harder, do it again, do more. I can feel them gathering around, being like, oh, look at her being a dom. Oh, look at that.
I love that. Question. If you're reading to people for like romance, like say somebody, because I feel like a lot of people use astrology for romance. If somebody wanted to book a session with you, do you read them together or do you read them separately?
Both. It would be both. It's like the whole like 1 + 1 = 11, not two. You guys know what I mean?
I do. Interesting. Okay.
Like instead of it being like, you guys are becoming one where you're like intermingling and around each other and like pretzeling to like meet each other. Like that's codependency, right? And we have a sense of codependency equates to romance in our culture. Like we're very like, if he loves you and he's super like all over you immediately and he's like trying to go like and marry you immediately, like that's good. That's positive. That's what love and romance is. And actually, like, no, y'all, that is a red flag.
Sounds like love bombing.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
no. No, 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 no. And like, but all the princess stories are based off of love bombing and all of the ways that we teach people to fall in love and look for the signals of love are really unhealthy.
Can we talk about
So
that language? Because I do not like when people say I fell in love, and it's like love should be stable. You should rise in love. Me personally, I'm a rise. Like I'm not falling down because I'm in love. No, that should be uplifting. That should be stabilizing. That should not create someone to fall.
right. Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm really glad that you brought that
Thank you.
that tweak in here. It's really important to me that we see the relationship that's happening when you're in that plus mode of here's you, here's what happens when you guys are together. And we're not trying to create a unit here where you erase each other to create something whole. You are together as whole beings in relationship to each other. 11, not two. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
It totally does. I love that. I love
And I'd be
astrology.
looking at like, where's your Venus? Where's your Mars? What's going on in your 10th house? What's going on in your fourth house? What's going on in like your fifth house? Those are the things that I would be looking at. I'd also look at your third house a lot. Like, how do you communicate? How do you learn? How do you teach? Are you willing to listen and learn from your partner as a person? If you're not, you're probably not going to have any partnerships that work out for you.
Right.
Do you want to tell me about some of the projects that you're working on, Jim?
I have annual program opening up in April, and it will I'm completing a certified personal trainer and certified nutritionist
Oh,
program right now.
cool.
And so, working as a somatic coach, what I really want to be able to do is harmonize our relationships with our bodies in the work that I'm doing in a really real, tangible way. And so, one of the craziest cool things about our bodies is that our heart sends more signals to our nervous system on a daily basis than our brain. And I
Cool.
just want you to think about how much you think. I want you to think about how much you overthink, how much you visualize and plan and like move through your day up here, right?
That reminds me so much of, like, the work I've been doing for the last couple of years. The love I have for myself is so big and unconditional that I do not tolerate any disrespect. I check it in real time and I'm like, "Get out of here." And this is the calmest my nervous system has ever been. Even though I got laid off almost 3 years ago, and my income has been the lowest it's ever been, which is very scary and very stressful. I qualify for all kinds of, like, subsidies. I've never been able to be calm, but when my income is the lowest it's ever been post layoff, my nervous system is the calmest it's ever been because I love the shit out of myself, and I have changed my energy so much that just through loving myself, that my health got better. And even though my back hurts real bad, it's like it's not perfect, but I've just learned that through loving myself unconditionally, that is how I regulate my nervous system. If something's not for me, it's an immediate no. Like I don't second guess myself because I learned like that second guessing can kind of create like a hellscape where you're constantly being like, I don't know, should I listen to my intuition? Should I choose myself? Yes and yes, every time. And if people misunderstand you, oh well, like they can learn. And I've also just gotten really good at cutting people out of my life because I'm reading energy in different timelines and different realms. I can get an accurate read on someone real quick. And I'm like, they are not here to love on me. They got to go. So I love that. That's where my mind went when you brought that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the work this is the program is called Heart-Centered Living. What it's really about is getting us out of our heads, right? We are all such amazing thinkers that we forget that the rest of our body has so much wisdom, especially our heart. And our heart is signaling over and over and over and over and over and again to our nervous system what our desire is, what we want, where we should go, the direction we need to take, our intuition. And we can't listen to it because our minds are acting like a master. And our minds are a terrible master, but they're an excellent servant. They're meant to translate this signal from our heart into language that we can understand, not for our mind to tell us what our heart wants. What I'm working on is bringing in a group of women into a space where we are working for a year on reworking their individual relationship with their body through movement, food, and relationship so that they can cultivate a sense of emotional safety within themselves that makes them feel like they can be confident, they can be authentic, they can exist within a relationship. Like this whole language of you are attracting this into your life and you're attracting narcissists into your life and you're attracting like toxic relationships. No, we're not attracting it. We're stuck in a habitual way of interacting with human beings that makes us comfortable interacting with people who are not safe for us. And because of that comfort, we are uncomfortable relating in a way that allows us to cultivate relationships with people that are safe, work environments that are safe, friendships that are safe, a home environment that's safe because we don't have that habit of having a relationship with a safe person. We know how to manage toxic people. We know how to manage a narcissist. We know how to manage a person who is chaotic. And a lot of the women that I work with end up in these kinds of relationships, whether it's work, friends, personal, that really harm them in real ways because their only relational habit is their relational habits are very narrow. I really want to help expand the habits by also helping them to have like a different relationship with their emotions, their food, their environment, nature, the land, and other women. And so that container is going to open in April and it's going to be based off of the season. So we'll work in a spring, we'll work in a summer, we'll work in a fall, and then we'll end in a winter, sealing all of that and preparing for the next spring where we will blossom as new people.
Mhm.
That's beautiful. I love
Yeah,
that.
I love that too.
When I was in like the last therapist I worked with, I sought her out when I was going through family estrangement and divorce at the same time. And that's what I learned. Like the way that my parents treated me, it was similar. My ex husband treated me in a similar way to how my parents did, but he was nicer about it. And I thought it was normal because that's how my parents treated me. So I was like, oh, this is normal. And then when I said F you to all of them, I was like, I'm divorcing my whole family and ex husband. Y'all all got to go. And went into therapy. After that, all of my relationships transformed. Now, all of my relationships were meeting me where I was at and saying, Jessica, what do you need? How can we help you? Like
You
all of a
started a
sudden,
new habit.
I started a new habit and I trained my brain that when I ask for what I want, it equals a good outcome. So when I don't get what I want, I'm like, get out.
Yeah. You're describing tactics, not mysticism. And that's what I really want
Mm.
to make clear to people is like, this is not about you making an expensive nervous system. This is not like just woo woo nonsense. This is, we can have a practical, tactical, habit based conversation and a strategy to move away from where you are. And what you just described are all tactics saying no, checking in with your intuition, having that sense of I have the authority to say yes or no to myself. That's a habit.
Yes.
That's not mystical. It's mystical because it's beautiful and magical and wonderful once you achieve it, but it's a habit.
It is. And what I learned, like when I was going through therapy, then I became a Dom and I got to practice playing with power in therapy and being a Dom. And I was just like, every time I ask for what I want, I get it. And I learned also through that, that I'm not asking for too much, I'm asking the wrong person. And once I became like an authority figure of my life, when I was like, I am the boss, what I say goes, or someone else has to leave, that really opened up like a whole new world to me because now it's like I'm an entrepreneur with one of my besties. Like I make money with my friends and we're building stuff together. And that never happened when I was in relationships with the wrong people.
Right. And this is why when I'm looking at a relationship reading, especially for romantic relationships, I'm looking at what is your fourth and 10th house, because that is your mother and your father. Those are the two people who had the biggest effect on how you view the world. So if so like, for example, Jillian has an empty 10th house with Virgo there. That's the house of the mother.
My mom,
Jillian's
yeah.
mother is somebody who is alchemical, magical, interested in other realms. She devotes herself to her children, but she's also a little quirky. And there's no
Wow.
limits there. So there also was maybe not as much of like a stable, strong, always signal, but it doesn't mean that mom wasn't present. It just also means that there's a little bit of absenteeism or lack of presence that was desired and not given. So Jillian needs more support in like having a sense of like, mom is here, mom is here, mom is here. And what you do, Jessica, is your moon is in Virgo. And so when we're looking at your charts together, your moon pops into Jillian's 10th house and creates this. It's okay to be who you are. I'm completely present with everything you've got. I'm going to give you that sense of safety. I'm going to give you that sense of it's okay in the world. This world here isn't so scary as you think it is. I promise. I promise it's not as scary. Other people go through this shit too. Just like the whole podcast started with that kind of dynamic. For me, my 10th house has Saturn in it. And so
Is that
I
one of the social planets?
Saturn is more of a generational planet. It comes back every 30 years to its original position.
Yeah.
So like the Saturn return, everyone is like, the Saturn return.
I think that's when I went through divorce and family estrangement was my first return.
So the Saturn return is a beast because Saturn is the authority figure in your chart. If you've got and then your fourth and your 10th house are your two poles of authority. My fourth house is in Virgo, but I have Chiron at the bottom of my chart, and then I have Saturn at the top of my chart. So my worldview was shaped by parents who were very authoritative, but wounding at the same time. Like they didn't know how
So
to
were mine.
be authoritative in a way that was like the best version of themselves. at the time, but then how that presents for me, because like the fourth and 10th house tell you a lot about your parents, but it also tells you about you. And so having Saturn in my 10th house makes me have a sense of like, I'm not allowed to be an authority. Like everybody else can be an authority but me. And so I'm learning how to alchemize this sense of a relationship with Saturn where it's like, no, 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 you are also an authority. But this is like the traditional trajectory of people with a 10th house Saturn, where they have to come to understand that it's not everybody else in the room is authority but you, and you have to listen to everybody else and what they think. You are also an authority, but it takes a lot longer for that relationship to come together. So when I'm looking at like partnership for myself, it's really important that that person honors me and my voice and my beliefs and my thinking and my ability to have leadership and authority in my own life rather than seeing like you are a possible powerful person and I need to crush that within you.
I see a lot. Yeah, like that's what my parents did to me and like ex-husband. They're like, I see your power and I want to squash it. And when I got out of those relationships and my power blew up, like they are big mad. And I'm like, good. I love hearing you talk about astrology. Like, yes, like you are an authority figure in that. And I loved hearing what you said about like with Jillian, like the Virgo portion, because like I'm always telling Jillian to go harder. I'm like, Jillian, I think you're holding back. I think that you should go harder.
And then
Always.
at the same time, like what Jillian brings to your life is this sense of like containment at the same time. Like you both bring each other a sense of containment in a very different way.
What does containment mean in this context?
In this context, it means like you said, I'm very watery, I'm very airy, so it's hard to ground. So like when you're going like all out here and like maybe getting a little too like whirlpooly,
Mhm.
Julian can be like, you just need to put the water in a bucket, honey.
In a bucket, yeah. I'm also a manifest generator. I like to do a lot of things, but it can be really hard. Since I became an entrepreneur like 3 years ago, I've had to really train myself where I'm like, I had to learn the difference between like discipline and capacity. Like I'm not lacking discipline, but the capacity part was hard. Like nervous system is capacity. I have a set number of hours that I'll work where I work with my energy. Like I have a lot of energy in the morning. We do these podcasts in the morning, but by 4 o'clock, I am dead. That's why I'm like, I'm going on a walk, sitting with the trees, like learning how to work with my energy throughout the day and knowing when it's going to change has been a huge help for me as an entrepreneur.
Can I ask Jillian a question?
Please.
Okay, so you are in Mist, which is the astrology group that I run. I've been sending you text messages, I think, once a week for like couple of months now. And
Mhm.
I'd love to hear your honest, heartfelt, raw feedback on what you think.
I love them. I read them. When I first get them, I read them that day. And then as the week goes on, I'll start rereading them to see what my day today will bring me. And I feel like it's very comforting in a way because even when I look back, if something major happened to me that week. So when I got into that car accident, that was like a major thing that happened in my life. And I went back and I read the astrology that you sent me about that week. And it was like, something's going to happen this week that's going to teach you a lesson. You're going to learn a lesson in a really not drastic, I forget what the word was, but in a really important way. And I was so upset about the accident and, how it happened. And then I kind of took a minute and I was like, let me read what Jem sent me. And I went back and I read it and I was like, okay, what did I learn from this? Let me take this lesson and implement it into my life moving forward because it was obviously done to teach me something or to protect me in some way. That lesson might keep me safe in the future. I love it so much. I would pay, I think, I don't know what were you going to charge for it? Like $15 a month?
Uh, it's on a sliding scale, so people can pay between 35 and 75 a month based
Yeah,
off
I
of
would do
what
the
they like.
35 a month, like for sure. Because if I didn't have that at that time, I feel like I would have been way more lost and confused. And I was able to kind of like center myself and think back, to the lessons, to what you wrote me. It feels almost more of like a therapy session in a way. Like when you're reading through it, you can kind of take what you learned from your previous week. And I think it's really important too to go back and reread it. I do that a lot. I'll go back and I'll reread it to see what happened in my previous week and what I can bring into this week. So I love it. I think it's fantastic.
I am so glad to hear that because I've been sending them to you, and, like, sometimes I feel like I'm sending it into the void because I don't even get, like, I've never gotten a reply to them, and so I'm like, "This is a
I'll
trial.
reply.
Is she liking this, or is she like, ugh, this is not what I wanted?"
Oh my God, I freaking love them. Do you know that I copy them and I put them into my notes every week so I have them?
No.
Yeah, they're all in my notes.
And I keep changing
I
the style
I
because
love
I'm
it.
like, what's this gonna land? What's gonna resonate? I don't know.
I feel like okay, so I love the text, but maybe an email too
Okay.
would be cool. I can help you with that if you want.
If you wanted it as an email instead of a text message.
No, I like the text, but maybe people can choose between a text and an email. I don't know.
A lot of people have been like, no, I just want the text message.
Yeah, I do. I really like the text message. I really do. Oh my
And
God,
because
can I like
then
write
like
you
the
back
one
and
that
ask you
goes out.
questions? I didn't want to like bother you. I thought you send them at like mass send them out to
No,
everybody.
everyone gets their own. Like if you read,
Like that I didn't know. I
so
did
like
not
if
know
you
that.
read the one that's in the WhatsApp each week,
Yes,
right? And
right.
then you read yours, they're different,
Yeah,
right?
they are different. Yeah, they're different.
Everybody's is tailor fit. So, yours is like about your chart and how your like a lot of stuff has been happening with Capricorn recently.
Yeah.
And so there's been a lot of I alter it. So like your Capricorn is in the second house. You have Mars in Capricorn. So all of those transits are conjoining with your Mars. And
And I
then
saw
for
that
other people,
Chiron
it's
makes an
conjoining with
appearance.
their Uranus out on the seventh house. Like that's a totally different experience. And
Right.
so everybody's is altered and shifted for
I love that. That I didn't know. Remember when you told me about Chiron?
Chiron.
Chiron? How do you say it? Chiron?
Chiron.
Chiron. I still have it saved on my computer and I read it almost probably every day because you said, and then I saw this week that everything's in Chiron when I was
Yeah.
reading it on Monday. I was like,
There's
oh,
a
okay.
lot of interactions happening with Chiron.
What's going to happen this week?
There's a lot of squares happening with Chiron this week.
What is a square? Or what's the
So,
significance?
square is when planets are creating a 90-degree angle in the sky. So, like, they basically are like that,
Gotcha.
some way, shape, or form. And so,
Wow.
squares are in like old English astrology, like considered like one of the worst aspects. But to me, they kind of just sound like a symbol crashing together or like drums working together. But they also can like be like, your corner of the internet, your own little cozy corner where you guys are like creating a boundary where you two meet. And so it really just depends on like the relationship between the planet and its sign and the other planet and its sign. And so on January 12th, the sun was square Chiron. On January 13th, which was yesterday, Mars was square Chiron. Today, Mercury is opposite Jupiter. There's a lot going on in the stars today, y'all. It's like,
Yeah.
or this week, it's like, I said the theme was this week, it's chaos, spectacle, and a show. Not because it's wrong, but because everything's externalized.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
Like, I'm having to take a break from LinkedIn because it's just been too gross this week. Well, thank you, everybody.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jem, for being our first guest.
You're
This was
fine.
exciting.
It's fun. I could sit here and talk about astrology for hours and hours and hours. So if anybody else wants to, put me on their calendar, I'll sit there and answer all your questions.
And
We'll
we'll
add
link
your
all
link.
your, yeah.
We'll add
Yeah.
your link in the notes where people can find you.
And I'm having a new website made, so I will also let you guys know.
Perfect.
All right. Bye.
Bye, everyone. See you next week.
Unbreakable, don't spoil it. It's undeniable. I see it, I want it, I get it.